Hi there, traders. This is Brad Goodwin with the FX Market Insight for Monday, the 8th of October. All right, as we come into trading for the start of the week, let's just have a look where the US non-farm payrolls left the currency pairs. Aussie a little bit lower, Kiwi also lower. The Aussie and Kiwi sort of just slide into the downside very easily at this stage, and it looks like it's going to continue, especially now that China, after a week of holidays, comes back into play. I would expect the yuan to weaken. That should be put Aussie further downside pressure on Aussie and Kiwi. Dollar yen still in a slight uptrend, but it is stalling over the last couple of days. So a bit of pressure here coming up towards 113, sort of 55. Now euro looks like it's found a bit of a home down here on around 115, above 115. At this stage, okay, that Italian situation with them delaying the budget, and also then starting to rumbles about going back to a national currency, look like they've diffused somewhat at this stage. So if we get any change in that, we should see euro slide to the top side, and that goes with the sterling, right, which is having a massive, decent sort of euphoria over the potential EU UK Brexit deal. Apparently it's very close, and that's putting upward pressure on the on sterling. And then you've got dollar CAD. Well, it's slightly moving to the top side, but it's just, as you know, we've had NAFTA sorted out. That should take the pressure off. It should be positive for CAD. Now we've got strong fundamentals in Canada as well, which supports a lower dollar CAD. But just at the moment, the market is sort of waiting for more information, and the clash of the Canadian and US employment numbers on Friday really diffuses the momentum on dollar CAD. So let me just have a look. You know, we can see where the majors are, but let's just have a look where the key data sort of left off on Friday. Now, the US numbers were a little bit tricky. And if you look at most pairs, you would see a decent sort of blip up and down on the number. That's because the headline number, the non-farm payroll itself, was weaker than forecast, you know, by 51,000. So that sort of puts a little bit of a negative spin on things. But then you look at the rate was better, and the average earnings, okay, the third variable here, were consistently strong, I guess, in comparison to where it was, say, a year ago. So we've had a blip down on the dollar, a blip up, and then steady as she goes on the average earnings. So that's one of the key points. What I was trying to explain on Friday, don't just jump into the non-farm payrolls and think it's a great trading opportunity. There's three variables. It's a big number. You have to wait for the numbers to drop and see what the reaction is before you can really jump in. Now, dollar CAD actually had a bit of an interesting one. The full-time numbers were weaker. Okay, that's not a good thing. The change was actually very positive of employment, and the rate was steady. So the underlying number, employment change, very strong. The full-time employment numbers were weak, which diffused a bit of that good fortune on the employment change. And that left dollar CAD sort of rolling around just close to where it was. So coming back to the major pairs, okay, you can sort of see now we're starting to get a bit of flow on. Now, Aussie and Kiwi are still in a bearish momentum. Dollar yen at this point, whilst it holds above 113.55, is still in a bit of an uptrend. Euro, well, to me, it's found fair value, and I think it's actually going to start trading sideways from here. And that's because, you know, it should start to run a little bit with sterling, which is moving to the top side on the back of Brexit, right? Brexit, I mean, inflation is very high in the UK, which is, you know, creating like a hawkish tone from the Bank of England. But the fact that Brexit is looking like a deal is done should alleviate the downside, and we see sterling potentially rally. As I said, NAFTA, euphoria, the market's slowly squeezing to the top side. Looks like it's found a bit of traction here, but we need more information there on oil, on dollar CAD. Oil has dropped a couple of bucks, and that's sort of taken the downside pressure off dollar CAD as well. All right, now just coming across quickly to have a look at the US dollar, see what's going on here. The slight uptrend that we've seen in the last week or so, it's still in play, okay? I can see it's sort of broken the support line, but it's just trading sideways through. It's not exactly falling at this point. Dollar yuan will be the most interesting pair this week. After a week of holidays, the Chinese will be ripping back into it, and we may see some direction there. Now, equity markets, I would have thought after the Fed, right, that they've signalled potentially 3 rate hikes in 2019, that we would have seen further pressure on the downside in equities. We are starting to see them dribble off at this point. but it's no major move just yet. So the US dollar trading sideways. Now, if I come back into the FX market insight, actually, let me just show you one other thing there on the news. I'll just come to the news first. I just want to give you a run through here of the actual news pages. What we do have is still, I mean, the headline up the top there is, where's the whole pen? Is still on the US numbers, which is good, but it hasn't, it's weakened like a fraction. So don't get too caught up in that. Obviously, Brexit is the major news for UK. And, well, dollar CAD, they're saying the job gains seem not enough to accelerate rate hikes. Well, you know what? I think the Bank of Canada is still on track after those employment numbers. And then the rest of the bits and pieces here are all random geopolitical stuff on other pairs. All right, so that's basically where we are with regards the general news. So I'm just trying to get my little mouse to work properly. Now, just coming out of the MyFX Trading Hub, just having a look here. Now, don't get too caught up in trading at the start of the week. Now, I think the trading conditions are pretty good. And the best thing is, if Brexit, okay, if there is a deal between the EU and UK, that gives us a huge boost because sterling will now become a very normal pair once again, right? So that's really refreshing, and you should be quite excited with that. But then looking at the upcoming events, now I've got the first major event, and what we're talking about major event is a potential momentum changer is UK GDP estimate. Now that's coming out on Wednesday. So we've got until Wednesday to wait for the first numbers. Now, we've got US PPI out at the same time, but the major focus for the week will be Thursday's US CPI numbers. Right? Obviously, the core CPI, one of the most important things that the Fed looks at. So we get strong numbers there. It will confirm the interest rate hiking mode that the Fed has already sort of signaled. Weaker numbers maybe diffuses it somewhat. So really, if you're looking for a key event this week, it's definitely going to be the US CPI numbers. All right. Now you come back down here. Have a look at the just update the technical side of things. There's a little bit of a shift here after last week's trading in the US numbers. Now sterling, with that change in the news, has gone from sort of like a sideways where the technicals were all pointing down, fundamentals up. Now that technical picture with the current move in sterling really goes into a neutral technical phase, but the fundamentals are still strong. So I've got sterling in a bullish mode at this stage. I've got euro shifting into a sideways, and the rest of the pairs are as they were on last week. Bearish Aussie and Kiwi. US dollar still bullish, and at this point, dollar yen just hanging there on a bullish phase as well, and dollar Swiss is also in a bullish mode. There's a really interesting level here on dollar Swiss, okay, on the daily charts. If it breaks through sort of, I think it's around 99.5. If it breaks through that, then dollar Swiss is going to shoot to the top side, and very indicative of that strong fundamental picture coming through from the US dollar. All right, so that's pretty much it for me, guys. There's not too much to run through. As I said, the main thing is taking out of Friday's trading is really having a good look at where the major pairs are. Now, the other thing, what I want to do is actually to show you. I mean, I've left the technicals where they are, so you can see where that sort of bastardized price action is, especially on sterling. Now, this is Brexit, right? Geopolitical situation. You're getting people chopped up on the top side, downside. To me, it's still a question mark. Okay, I know the Bank of England's got very high inflation to deal with, but the Brexit issue will continue. I think at this stage, starting the week, dollar CAD will continue to trade sideways. Keep a close eye on oil. Dollar yen is starting to trade sideways, but as long as sort of 113, sort of 50, 55 holds, you know, there's still room for a topside move. I think euro is just going to trade sideways. Keep an eye on that slight geopolitical issue with regards to Italy. It's fallen off the news wires. Okay, it's like they've had enough. It is now trading sideways, and the Aussie and Kiwi, well, they continue to beat to the downside. So not much we can do there, except all you're doing is starting to really just adjust your levels. And this is what I'll be doing just to start Monday. As I said, Wednesday is really the start of the week with as far as economic numbers go. So you are really, you're going to be a little bit patient to start the week. All right. Don't necessarily run straight in. As I said, just update your charts, your trend lines, and you'll start to see where the real picture is. And you can see sterling running to the top side. Aussie and Kiwi, still a bit of a bearish picture there, of course. No fundamentals due this week out of Australia and New Zealand. So make sure when you are having a look at this, you understand where the fundamental direction is going to come from. And at the first release, UK GDP, well, that's what we're going to look forward to. All right, guys, that's it from me. Have a good week. Mark will be taking over the FX Market Insight for the remainder of the week. I'm going to hit the tracks and go camping. I should hopefully have a look at that US CPI numbers Thursday. All right, guys, have a great trade day, trade week, and I'll see you in the live trade zone. Cheerio.